Hey everyone, welcome to episode 42 of the Ceres podcast. You may be thinking that this is a repeat episode, but I can confirm that it's not. This episode with Tim and Kelly from Crispies is essentially a recap on the year that they've had since winning Independent Fish and Chip Shop of the Year. We discuss the stress of going into the presentation, but also preparing for it, the personal turmoil of this type of achievement. Once we move past talking about the awards, we move on to what the work life is like now that there's a gap. We particularly discuss the challenge of representing the industry and managing the shop and how you balance it all out. And also the big gap that's left behind when you can't enter the awards no more, or at least no one has entered twice and won. For those of you that are new to the Ceres podcast and don't know who pays for the bills, then head over to worldofceres.com. We've been updating our blogs. Recently we've just posted a roundup of the Fish and Chip Awards 2020, articles to help you get some great ideas for National Fish and Chip Day, a shop spotlight on one of our first customers in the east of England, Matt Bedford from Fishtastic. Matt's a really top guy. He started off as a customer and now is a good friend, but he's actually still a customer. For a bit of industry news, if you cast your mind back to episode 17, you'll remember James Lipscomb from the Chesterford Group. They have had a little shuffle around, and James is now the CEO of the Chesterford Group, and he has promoted Paul Goodgame from Operations Director to Managing Director. I'll tell you what, this is a pretty impressive story. Paul started at the Chesterford Group 27 years ago, and this is a pretty amazing in my view. It shows what a great company it is to work for if you can move up like that. Imagine someone working there today behind the counter and thinking, I can do what Paul's done, obviously with hard work and dedication. I hope you enjoy this episode with Tim and Kelly, and be sure to share it with your friends in the industry.
Don't jinx it now, it's working.
No, it's all working. There we go, it's all working. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I need to cough?
Nope.
Tim and Kelly, thank you very much for today. What? Can't you hear me? What? what happened?
I'm waiting for you to say more.
No, I was waiting for you guys to say hello, and then we can go from there. I thought we'd, you know.
We're not very polite.
This big long introduction.
No, that was just a hello.
Oh, hi.
Oh my God.
Oh, that was funny.
Well, so, no, I'm going to carry on.
Yeah,
I'm going to carry on.
do it.
So basically, why I thought that was strange is because all this morning, this podcast was meant to start at 10 a.m. No, 11 a.m. And we've had some malfunctioning equipment, and me and Tim had to fix it like men do without reading the instructions. So when I just said hello, I thought you two couldn't hear me. Yeah. So should we start again?
Yeah, go on.
So Tim and Kelly, hello again.
Hello.
Hi.
So welcome to the Ceres podcast, second time round.
Thank you.
Yes.
And the idea of this episode is to look back on your year as winners, as we call it. You know, so for those that don't know you, Tim and Kelly from Crispies in Exmouth, current UK Fish and Chips of the Year winner. By the time this goes out, you've probably got a few more days left with your trophy. And then you will be has-beens, all done, dead. Not dead.
Thanks.
Over the hill.
Over the hill. So, you know, I just thought, I think it's good to show people what it was like, you know, because I think this is probably not the first year, but, well, the first year the podcast has been going, where you can actually talk about it and not just be, you know, stuck to 400 words on an article, you know. So, you know, Ideally encourage others about the pros and cons. I'm sure there's a few cons. It's not all pros, and not many, I guess. But, you know. But yeah, welcome.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
So, where do we start? What were your thoughts going into the presentation, guys?
Well, I think we were quite relaxed. We'd done all our worrying months before in the preparation. I think we spent, how long was it? 2.5 months?
Yeah, so pretty much as soon as it was announced, we went into it.
And we had all the tears and
Arguments.
quite bad arguments. And yeah, by the time we got to the day, we were very comfortable in ourselves that what we were going to do was going to be to the best of our ability. And if that wasn't what they were looking for, then we were happy with that. Yeah, this is us. There's no show. There's no performance. This is us. And if that's not what people want, then that's fine by us.
I kind of feel the same, really. Like Tim said, I really distinctively remember the December before having a massive meltdown about what was expected and were we good enough. And we rewrote our presentation, I think, 2 weeks before we submitted it. And it was really, really nerve-wracking. I mean, you don't stand up and present in front of people. You're throwing fish and chips.
No, you don't.
So to be in that position and not know what questions were going to be asked after your presentation was what really threw me.
You expect them to be catching you out.
Yeah, really technical questions.
Yeah, but they're not. They're just digging deeper into your business and finding out
so just
more interest. And
more about what you said.
Yeah.
And more about us. And that, obviously, I mean,
So you guys go in there thinking, we're ready for all the difficult questions.
Yeah.
We even had a crib sheet.
And then it's like, how long have you been married?
Yeah, it was. It was like that.
It was. The very first question we got asked was, so you started out at 17, why the bloody hell did you go into fish and chips?
Yeah.
And then you instantly then felt that ease and just calmness, and then it was extremely natural. And I feel like we answered the questions really well because they were about us. So yeah, having that crib sheet.
What was it? What were the judges like? Was it 10 or 12 of them?
12 in total.
And did you feel intimidated before they asked the first question then? Like, or was it just, or did you not face them really? Did you not make eye contact? Or did you notice that some of them were, like, is it really stern? Is it austere? Or did they just sort of smile at you when you're doing your presentation? Like, what did it feel like looking back?
They were really calm. They were just really nice. They all said hello when we went in. You were made to feel quite relaxed. Your presentation was ready to go. So there was no faffing with, sort of technical equipment.
Very professional,
Diva.
And then, so we just we knew we had 10 minutes. We knew that we practiced and practiced and practiced. So it just felt very natural when we were in the room.
It's kind of, there are some faces there that you recognise. You might not necessarily know them very well, but you know of them. But yeah, it is 12 faces looking at you, very interested in what you're about to say.
And do afterwards, do they avoid you and stuff when you see them at the bar or anything or at the hotel, or did you not really see them? Or
I saw a few of them.
Well, you see them the night before, don't you, at the drinks reception? So they're all there in the drinks reception, and they talk to you. And I don't know how many votes that we got afterwards. From what I heard, it was quite a high number, which is amazing. Yeah, we spoke to
all you got was that they enjoyed our presentation, but it was very close, and that was it. So you had no idea. There was no inkling of someone slipping up or anything like that.
No, fair enough. So you get that done. 10 minutes are done. What's it like when you then walk out the room? Like, how does that feel? Because then you've got
relief.
Relief.
Yeah, straight to the bar.
Well, you did tell us earlier that you were at the bar before your presentation.
I had a drink before I went in. But no, it's relief. It's a relief because it's 2-3 months worth of work that you've been practicing.
I think you'll find it's 20 years worth of work, love.
Well, yeah.
We're just talking about
Well, yes, you've been building up for all these years, and we've been wanting it for so many years. Never got that far before. Never been in that room, and then all of a sudden it's over. So yeah, it was a lot of relief.
Yeah, definitely.
Even though we weren't building ourselves up to it.
How many times afterwards did you get asked, how did it go?
Oh, all night.
Yeah.
Everyone. And our honest answer was, it went really well because, and we didn't feel, it wasn't a cocky, it went really well, it was great. It was just we did what we could do.
You answered the question,
Yeah, and it, again, like we sort of touched on before, is that before we went in, we were really calm. We had the same feeling when we came out. Well, I certainly did anyway.
I think we were just satisfied that the way that we presented it in the room was up to the standard that we were rehearsing it at.
Yeah.
So none of us made any massive blunders or anything like that. So we came out happy. That was as good as we could do.
My observation from the outside was that I felt that, obviously you told me you had a bit of a meltdown, like in December, but after that, I felt like you were just like, well, if we don't win, we don't win. Like you said, if we're not what they want, then that's it. And you're pretty cool with that and content. And I wonder if that takes some baggage off. Like when you walk into a room and you're already thinking, well, if I don't win, we've done the best. Like, I wonder if that makes you a bit more liberated to be free.
Because I think the only nerves I had on the day then was just the fact that, I don't like standing up in front of people talking.
Yeah.
And it's not me. And so, that was the only nerves really. It wasn't...
The fear of loss.
No. It felt the same way of presenting there it did when we presented a couple of months later at the NFFF, or a month later, and then later on at Isle of Ely. It was the same nerves.
Then you get through the whole day, you're avoiding people, they're avoiding you, because generally that's what happens, or you have a little bit of a quick conversation, how's it going? You did well, I enjoyed it. And then the next day, how did you feel like that night? Did you go to bed early? Like, how did you guys deal with it? Like, did you go to bed early, or did you just stay up and have a few drinks, or did you just think, no, you know what, I'm going to get an early night because we've got tomorrow?
I think Kelly was doing her usual motherly, we must go to bed at a decent time.
Sounds like Kelly.
I didn't drink.
That's why. When she doesn't drink, she ruins it for everybody else. So then, the next day, you got to,
that is...
Let's face it, you've got to be in knots. You've got to be in knots. Surely.
I hated that was the worst. I've never ever been more nervous in my life.
Is it like someone saying to you, I'm trying to give you a feeling, because you said earlier I can't think of the feeling, and whilst I've been trying to fix all this stuff, I've been playing it in my head, and I was thinking, is it like somebody saying, I'm going to slap you around the face, but you don't know when it's coming? Like, is it like this weird knot feeling, like this weird, like, I don't know, like...
It's anxiety on a level that I've never experienced in that, because it's a night, if you win, it's a nice feeling.
But if you don't...
it's that, absolutely. And I think I didn't eat anything. I didn't drink anything apart from water. And then I just sat there flicking through this book, willing these awards to be over.
It's like, clap. Next.
And Tim was like, stop. But you just have that feeling of, because it's 2 hours, it's a long time to sit there.
Well, I think this year's going to be even longer as well. They've added 2 more categories this year.
Oh.
Yeah. So.
But it's a long time before you get to it, the actual award ceremony
so you've got
starts.
breakfast time, and then you've got...
And so you're getting through the meal, and when you're waiting, it's kind of, you feel like it's a process you're just wanting to get through.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But it's also a bit like when you wake up on Christmas morning as a kid, that it seems such a long time away.
Yeah.
Because you wake up crack of dawn.
Yeah.
Start checking Twitter feeds and things like that.
Yeah, but this is slightly different. I get where you're coming from, the feeling of excitement.
Yeah. Has Santa's been to bring the present I wanted or not?
Yeah, I was going to say, imagine having nothing. Sorry, there's no prize for fourth.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that in a facetious way, but from a feelings point of view, it is literally 1, 2, 3. You'd be all right with 2 and 3. You'd say, oh, you know what, I'm happy with that, we'll get by. But you know what you want. You'll want 1. They're place number 1, obviously. But then the drop-off, literally from 3, is just nothing. So you can see how that would make you feel really nervous. Your worst-case scenario is, do we get nothing? So that's hard. That's hard.
And I think we were, in our minds, we were happy with being placed. That was what everyone has that goal, and we would love to have been placed.
Because it was your first time as in the top 10, isn't it?
Yeah.
So being placed, that's not a bad place to be, is it? No. Really? To win it first time as well, that's incredible. I think.
And for someone to enter, for us to enter, if we hadn't have won it and we hadn't have got placed, as an entrant shop, I would. I'd like to have known where we've been placed, because you kind of then would give you a barometer of how far you've got to go.
And maybe that's feedback you can give back to them now, maybe at the end of the year, maybe.
Yeah.
If Nikki wants it. Yeah. So, I might delete that bit. So, what were your feelings when your name got called then? Like, who was up first? Do you remember? Was it Kelly?
I think, in all honesty, the first thing we did was hug each other.
Yeah.
Because you kind of feel that might be the last time that you get to a moment of a moment of closeness to almost acknowledge each other on that day. And then obviously my parents and Tim's parents were there, which was absolutely fantastic. But the first person to come over and congratulate us was Leslie Graves. And that means a lot because that's almost the first person you see. Lots and lots of people came over and congratulated us, but that was really lovely for me.
Is this a dig? Because I didn't get to come over straight away.
You were in the cheap seats. Further back.
I see.
It was lovely, and we didn't make it to the stage very quickly, and I think I distinctly remember Tim stood at the stage waiting for me because I was saying hello to everybody on the way up.
Tim thought this is what she's always like, trying to say bye.
For me, I needed to get to the stage because you do get emotional. You've worked so hard to get to that point. So yeah, I was just trying not to blood my eyes out in front of 600 people.
That makes sense.
Nice.
Yeah, but
So you kind of saying hello to people, but you need to get to the
you
stage.
try not to make eye contact because then it's like, that makes sense. So this is to talk about one of the cons of winning. So how do you find it afterwards? Like, because whatever you say, you had the big high. We discussed it earlier. You come back, but guess what? Same stuff still applies. Staff don't turn in, for example. Stock's late. Stock didn't turn up. All the same problems of running your own business. What are the cons of running a business? So after winning the awards, would you say something like motivating staff? Like, how was that? Because once this big this thing that drives everyone forward for so long, we're in the awards, we've gone through stage 1, gone through stage 2, we're in the top 10, and then it's just, then? Like, I don't know, like, what do you use now to motivate people? I know it's only a year.
I mean, the first thing we did, I think about 3 months after we won, is around the time when the award season started again, the time that we would be sitting down with our staff saying, we're entering this year, we need to start looking out for what we're doing and making sure that we're ready for the mystery shops and cleaning. We decided to employ a mystery shopper to try and keep them on their toes. So they come randomly once a month. At any random time, there isn't no uniform to it. We don't even know when they're coming. It's not until you get the report that you know that they've been, and the invoice.
Of course.
The report comes slightly just before the invoice. We did that to try and keep the because it was a great tool for us for the 6 years that we entered to keep our staff motivated and on the game, especially as it started in May. It would get them right on their toes right through our busiest time of the year as well.
I think it kept them driven throughout that time. And also, I think us entering awards allowed them to buy into something that we weren't just a fish and chip shop serving fish and chips. We were always wanted to better ourselves and be better. And like you say, it was extreme. It still is. We're nearly a year, almost 2 weeks away from being a year as winners. And I do find that it is harder now to keep them motivated, especially the ones who've been with you longer. So the ones that have kind of come through the whole process right from day one. But we do that probably now through food, through the food still. And we still have regular team meetings. We still have team leader meetings. We still do all the things that got us the trophy in the first place. Because otherwise you can quite easily just fall back into ways that.
So essentially, it reaffirms that you don't do something for the awards; you do it because you do it.
Yeah, I think we said in the last podcast that the award was a byproduct of running a great business.
Not the other way
have
around.
all these processes in place. So, you still always need to have that staff meeting and a pep talk. Say, right, guys, remind them it's the time of year. So to take extra special care.
I mean, even yesterday, I went into the shop and the range wasn't.
Me and Tim just did exactly the same face.
The range wasn't quite as shiny as it should be. Yeah. And it's about accountability. So who was in charge, what staff were on, why is it not quite as shiny as it should be, and it doesn't matter whether you've got a trophy on top of your range or not. Those standards should be there every single day.
Yeah.
From the moment you walk in the door.
I think it's interesting because I think I'll text you sometimes when I see things on Facebook, and I think you see sometimes people say, "Oh, staff are crap," especially the young ones. This, that, the other, blah blah blah. I get it. Look, it's a frustrating job. I get it. Like as in, being a manager of people, it's not an easy task. But if you've not set out what you want from them, how can you expect them to do it? And and I often say, I know you don't comment on these things no more, because it's pretty infuriating when you see staff shit. Can't get staff these days. You can't get good staff these days. And you think, well, it's going to get harder if you're not training people, because you can go to McDonald's and get £6 an hour right off the cuff. Why would you go to a chip shop where you don't learn anything?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that for me, staff are only as good as their managers. If you've got a good manager that's nurturing and teaches them how to polish the range or whatever, etc., then there's no reason why it wasn't done right.
It's it's reminding those guys who come to work for you, regardless of age. It's reminding them that things are done to a certain standard, but also educating them. So probably touching on apprenticeships. Since we won, we've taken on 3 new apprentices because I want to teach them. I want to teach the next generation about fish and chips. That was that's why we've done it. And Liam's probably the key, isn't he? He was going to go into the army, decided he didn't want to go into the army because he didn't quite get the grades he needed for his maths, and then decided that rather than just staying in a full-time job working for us, let's give him an apprenticeship, let's give him something to get his teeth into, and if he decides to stay in the industry, great,
better.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you guys managed to bag a load of free stock over the sort of year of, but it wasn't even a year, was it, Tim? Like you said, the award, someone said there's going to be stock waiting for it, didn't they?
Literally on the day.
Yeah. But you guys did something slightly different. So what many would do and could have done, and you could have done this, is just use the stock, sell it, put that money in your account.
Yeah.
No problem. Would have been a nice hefty amount with all the stock you got given. But you guys chose to do, what are they called? Not charity events, but you did something where you built like the community events, didn't you? So give us an example of some of the things that you did with all that food.
The first we were very fortunate enough to get some cod and some potatoes, and we previously, 2 years before I went, done a charity day, and it worked. I chosen charity for this year at the Deaf Academy because they're coming to Exmouth, and again, it's about building goodwill within the community. So we did a £3 fish and chip day. We'd already taught our staff some sign language. We had their mascot down, and we raised nearly £10,000.
Wow.
That wasn't. No,
was that one of the other ones?
It's one of the other ones.
Yeah.
We gave it to the Salvation Army and the.
No, that was the Pocket Pies, love.
No.
Either way,
we gave out vouchers for fish and chips. I don't know. We've given away so much food.
Yeah, well, exactly. We don't have to be specific here. No one's going to listen. Because we raised money that day because we were really fortunate that the guys from Friars Pride were really kind to us and gave quite a large donation to the Deaf Academy as well, which was on our behalf, which was really lovely. And as Tim said, we also, because I think we worked out that we had something like, I don't know, 1,800 portions or something like that. And then on top of that, the customers we had, they could choose their charity, which local charity they'd like to donate.
Pay it forward scheme.
Yeah,
so the pay it forward scheme. Yeah,
so that was really, really good. That was really successful.
We spoke about that a lot, didn't we, as you were doing?
Yeah.
And I think, do you think that's ever something that could be done all the time? Do you think a pay it forward scheme?
Oh, hugely. I think a lot of the coffee shops do it, don't they? And prep.
I wonder if that's
like
because it's low value. Do you think? I don't know. Like you see pizza shops do it, but if someone swipes a pizza, as in a slice, it's not going to cost a lot, is it?
No.
I just wonder if it's the implementation. What have we not done in our industry to ever do that? Because I've never really seen anybody do it.
I think it'd be quite easy to set up as well. I mean, we found, I reckon
it could be.
I think especially in big cities and.
Yeah. Well, especially where there's a lot of homelessness.
Yeah.
Like, if I went in and bought, I don't know, 2 haddock chips for argument's sake, and one was for now and one was for the board, I don't know how you'd implement it, but I'm sure it could be done.
Yeah.
But I suppose you'd have to literally write it down now. Yeah. But I suppose
still all the ideas.
But I suppose you literally have to not judge who comes in and takes one.
No, absolutely.
Because you can't say, "Well, you don't look homeless." You've got to literally, because they might just be hard on their look. They might be having a bad day. They might have forgot their wallet.
I think there's.
How far do you take it?
There is a charity locally called Exmouth Friends in Need that.
Or you could just donate them there then.
Yeah, and we actually did do that. We donated, I think 140 portions to them, and we gave the lady who runs it the vouchers, and she distributed them as she saw fit. And they're not always homeless. They're people who have lost their jobs, or they're, they might just be living on the breadline anyway, and their car's broken down that month, so it just tips them over the edge. It can be something, something as simple as that takes you over the edge.
How important do you think it is, thinking like this on a local level, like trying to be involved? Because I think you do see it where people just sponsor the local football team. And that's fine, obviously. That's a good start, good place to start. But you've gone deeper here. What's your thought process there?
Because I think that if your customers are supporting you and have supported you for 20 plus years or however long you've been there, I think for me, it's your duty to give something back to your community. Why would you not? Whether it be helping out in a local school, it doesn't always have to be about giving something. It can be time, whether it's Tim and the RNLI, whether it's, me with Charlie School when I was a governor, or whether it's physically giving away 150 portions of chips.
You also have to think about what you get out of it. I think you sponsoring a football team with your name on the football shirt, how much does that really impact on people? How much notice do they really pay? Do you actually get any sales from that? Or how much does you giving away food to a local charity that's needed the food, and you get a good write-up in the paper, and you get more publicity from that? So, we can't be naive and think that we do all these things.
Playing the long game.
We do all these things because we're so kind-hearted. We do these things because we want our name to be out there.
Of course.
But then it just creates...
It's goodwill, isn't it?
Yeah, so absolutely. It creates goodwill. It's killing two birds with one stone, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you're getting the PR and you're getting the goodwill, and it all works nicely, but it's not like, you're not using the PR as a stick. You're not saying you must promote us. You're just saying, look, do it. And it just naturally gravitates anyway. Yeah. But I suppose with a football team, I suppose the only people that probably like the fact that you support a football team is the football coach and the parents, and that's it. Probably ends there. Whereas if you're doing 150 meals or 200 meals for the RNLI, that's 200 people plus the 10 people that they hopefully tell. So
I think we got some free pies from Pucker, and we did give a few. We gave some to the customers that evening because I think they did a press release. Pucker did. But we were given the stock and we decided to use it. We didn't even do chips one night. We just did a pie and mash in a local warden control place, and they absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
And they've always ordered off us sort of once every quarter, have 40 fish and chips on a Friday lunch. But it just means that they'll continue to do that because actually we get, they were the first people that I thought of, and then another local nursing home that uses us. It doesn't always have to be, like we said, homeless or underprivileged. It's just nice to give something back.
It was supporting those that supported you, isn't it? It
was good fun going in. We had.
Chances are, in 2 years' time, none of these people are going to say, "Oh, Crispies, they won fish and chips for the year." They're going to say, "Oh, they always look after us when we do a charity event. They always look after us when we want a pie and chips or fish and chips or whatever it is." That's what they're going to remember. I think. I might be wrong. There's nothing wrong. Like, some people are really going to, think of that as well. But I do think that over the long term, people are just going to think, "Oh, they're fair. They always help." So, yeah. So, your thoughts behind sending Dan and Rob to Japan? So, some winners get an opportunity to go to Japan. I think it's been going on for 7 or 8 years, something now. You don't have to go, which is why you guys decided not to go. So, what were your thoughts behind that?
I think at the time of winning, we didn't want to leave the shop. We were very... even before, as soon as we got announced really as top 10, we've had the conversation, hadn't we? And it's
there's part of you that sort of, you're about to have your busiest year ever because you've won, and oh, by the way, you need to go away for 3 weeks. I mean, it just doesn't make sense to me.
And you guys are generally busy in the summer as well, aren't you?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And we wanted to be here upholding being UK's number one. And so we originally said no to them. And they sort of sulked about it and phoned previous people that had been to try and persuade us. And came back to us and said, is there anybody that you could send? And actually, we thought that this could be a really good idea. It's giving something to to managers, so that they feel that they have good
They're sharing.
job enrichment.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then they're representing us as well, and they loved going and they did a great job. I feel that they represented our business really, really well.
Because that's a risk in itself, isn't it? Sending people abroad. And
I wouldn't just picked two of the young ones or anything like that. It needed to be someone who would represent our business really well.
Of course. And getting back to sort of like you guys sort of hanging at the shop and making sure that it's looked after. Where did that come about? Because obviously there was a part of you that probably thought, we're going to go everywhere, we're going to do things. And, Kelly mentioned earlier she got some advice and, what was that then as such?
I think the advice was look after your business this year and because then that will transition into the next year and the year after and the year after and the year after, because that's what's important. Your winning year is huge. And we always saw it as a platform. It was never the end goal. Winning was never the end goal. It was just, it was almost a step in our career, sort of a step in our career, really, wasn't it? But we saw it as a platform to
almost like the beginning of a new phase.
Yeah, absolutely. And we saw it that we would make sure that we took it on, did our best with it, and made sure that the business was better next year. That's why we chose to stay in the business in our winning year.
And you can't be number one and only be serving, mediocre food, because you're away all the time, can't you?
No.
You've got to uphold, the trophy, the competition is the pinnacle of your career.
I suppose in some ways, if quality had slipped, whether it was never intentional, but let's say by accident because you weren't there, you'd be pretty peed off, wouldn't you? Like if you get a complaint saying, "Well, I came in and you weren't there," because customers can be quite cutting when they complain. Let's face it, if they're, I was looking for you and there was only a manager, and before this award, you were always there. And that's essentially, if I'm a customer, that's exactly what they would have said because they want to cut you where it hurts. Yeah. So the fact that you're there, to them at least, that even when there was a minor problem, because they do happen, they're going to say, well, at least Tim was there. At least Kelly was there. Whereas if you weren't there, I don't know. I'm not saying you should be there all the time either. Yeah. But, I just think it's a difficult one because when you win an award like this, it elevates everyone's expectations.
Oh, hugely. Yeah. You're on a pedestal without even realising. Yeah. Obviously, you realise you've been put on it because you've put yourself up there to win. But, the literally the lunchtime after winning, we had people travelling 150 miles round trip. And it blows your mind. So right from literally day dot how important it is to have that product the best it can be. We're very lucky because we've got a team that has that when we're not there as well. But yeah, it's extremely important to us to be behind those fires.
Do you think that maybe the perception is from potential winners, let's say the top 10, that they have to do that they have to go to every event and go visit lots of shops? Do you think it's a perception thing? Because you clearly don't have to, or is it a fine line between doing nothing and doing something?
The perception thing is the hardest thing we found, and we used to beat ourselves up about throughout the year, is are we doing enough? Because nobody tells you what enough is, what we should be doing, what you shouldn't be doing.
There's no one to liaise to. You've got no boss.
You can always talk to Seafish. They're always there. But nobody sort of says, oh, you're going to get offered hundreds and hundreds of things and, you must do some of it.
And there's also no expectation from them, is there? They don't say, for example, you should do these X events.
No. You do what you want. You do as little or as much as you want. And I suppose it's a conscience thing, isn't it? It's you do what you feel is enough to represent the industry.
Yeah. As I said to you earlier, I don't think Seafish would be upset unless you did something. I'd use stronger words. But I don't think they'd really be bothered unless you did something really bad, like really terrific. But I mean terrific badly, not goodly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I just made up a word, goodly. Yeah. So I just think that, they just leave you to it. But maybe in some ways it'd be nice if they gave you a little bit of direction and said, could you do these 7 events maybe?
There's no itinerary, is there, at the start of the year where you sort of... So you I think for us, like Tim said, we had a meltdown and another meltdown. I've had a lot of them in the last year.
I was going to say.
But that is purely based on are we good enough? Are we doing what's expected? Are we attending everything that we should be attending? And you just beat yourself up.
There's only so much you can do. It's hard enough running a business before winning an award like this. You've got 2 young kids that are getting older. Well, I know they don't probably need you as much anymore because they're on their computers or at college or whatever. But how do you juggle family time? Over this year, how have you made sure that this year you made some time for that?
That's probably been the hardest point. We have a group of friends, and we pretty much said when we won, we'll see you in 2020.
It's not a lie.
And we've literally seen them half a dozen times throughout the year. The kids, the youngest, gets shipped off to Nans quite a lot. More so in the first 6 months, I would say.
Butt in, but how does he manage without his computer being there and stuff?
That's the only thing he talks about.
He doesn't really care about us.
He hates going to Nans, but nothing to do with Nan. It's because his computer's not there. I think the first 6 months are the hardest.
Yeah.
You have that initial, first 2 months we were 60% up, so you're just getting your head round how you're going to cope with that, with the same staff that you had before, because you're not going to be as that arrogant to think that you're going to win. So I'm going to employ 10 extra people.
Yeah.
So then you're frantically trying to employ people, train them, and cope with how busy you are.
And then another good thing I noticed about you guys this year is that you managed to carve out some holiday time.
Yeah.
And obviously that was probably hard to do.
Yeah.
A, to be away from the shop this year. B, to leave the staff again. Well, when I say again, it wasn't a lot, but you just thought, you know what, we've got to do it, didn't you? You both sort of said we've got to do it.
That was family, wasn't it?
Yeah. That's another thing. Yeah, you got. Do I want to go to Japan for 3 weeks, or if I can possibly get some time off, would that be better that I have a bit of time with the family? So yeah, they went to Japan for 3 weeks, and then 2 days after they got back, we then went away.
I genuinely think you did the right thing. And it matters what I think.
Well, I mean, by that point, you'd had 10 months of every weekend the kids going to grandparents, and so yeah, I think it was the right choice.
It's not just that. It's not just this year. You've got to look at everything. Your kids are getting older. From a personal point of view, how much time are you going to have? Your daughter, Holly. She's not going to go on holiday within 2 years.
But no, she's going to uni in September, and we knew that would probably be our last family holiday. We're trying to convince her to take 2 days off school because her A-levels coming up was hard enough. Yeah. It's like, who's the parent here? But it was the best decision for us.
You do have to also think with your personal head sometimes, don't you? And I think you navigated that, in my view, very well, I think,
Yeah.
And you went to Cyprus, which, of course.
I love it.
Well, I mean, our kids are to an extent are used to this. They've had 17 years of being shipped off to Nans. My daughter has, hasn't she?
Yes.
Like we said in the last podcast, we didn't teach them how to swim or ride a bike. Grandparents did that because we were always working in the infancy of our business.
I was going to say, I hope there's not a flood, and I hope they don't need to ride a bike anytime soon. No, but joking aside, that is the cost of running a business. And I think that you can't put it on a tax return. It's in the invisible cost, the human cost, and I think that's something that we've all got to go through. I've got, as you know, 2 young boys, and I know that sometimes they just want to play, sometimes they just want to do something, and you can't because you've got a million things to do.
Yeah.
So I think that you guys on a local level have had to do that as well because they've got to go to their nans, but luckily they've got their nans to go to.
Yeah, we're really, really lucky. My parents live in the Midlands, and at the drop of a hat, they literally got in the car and came down for a week if I needed them. Or I think when the guys went to Japan, we knew that we'd be working, even more than we were because we were out without a manager and assistant manager. So we knew we needed to be in the shop every day. And we were really lucky, they came and stayed for 3 weeks. It's great, we've got a great support network around us, and for that I think we both will be forever grateful, really.
I think it's also pretty important to say that when opportunities arise, you do sometimes have to say no and not be afraid of offending people. I think that, you could have offended the people from Japan, but, there was a way around it. Yeah. And, but even so, you still would have stuck to your guns if there wasn't. And
I think it's a better way around, because actually we're going in March for 1 week, not in our winning year. So we're still going to be able to experience that. We're still going to be able to, drive fish and chips around the world. So I think everyone's a winner.
Yeah, definitely. So you guys have now got 2 shops. And obviously, in May, when we did the podcast, I think it was May, when we did the podcast, there was no other shop on the horizon.
No.
So how does that go from 1 to 2? Like, was it planned? Was it an accidental good thing? Give us a bit of a brief there.
We did what we normally do, and we see something and ride it like with the seat of our pants.
It's a great plan.
Our lives are always, when our friends sort of say from the outside, very, very hectic, because if we see something and we think it's a good thing to do, then we jump on it.
Yeah, I mean, we've always wanted another shop. We've always planned to have more than one. I don't know why or where or how that conversation's always been, but we knew
it's
that
never been
created...
more than a wish, though, is it? We've never ever planned it.
No,
planned it.
No, but we knew that we'd like to think that part of the reason we won is because we had a shop that we could duplicate. We'd spent all the time and effort putting in procedures and all of those sorts of things. So we always knew we wanted another shop, and we had a plan. Although it wasn't a plan, but it was there. It was like, if we get another shop within the next 5 years, this is what we'd like to do. Before we won that.
So is it a Crispies 2? Is that what it is, or is that what it's called? Or
no,
it's I personally like to think of it as we're just adding another service to Crispies.
Okay.
That other service doesn't have space in our other shop, so we've had to get another premises to do it.
Okay.
So we've just added click and collect and delivery to Crispies. We just happen to do that in a different shop.
Site.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm really intrigued about this click and collect. So there's no queuing up at all. Like, I couldn't queue up and just say, "Hi, can I have some chips and a sausage?" Like, no.
We wouldn't turn you away, but we would push you towards the app. We would take your order this time. And as it happens on a Friday and Saturday night, if they come in and we're really busy, they've got to be expected to wait half an hour.
Yeah.
We say to them, we've got all these orders.
Invisible orders.
Yeah. So it's getting, I would say 5% of our turnover for the first week was walk-in people.
And we've lost a few customers. We've been very, I think in the first instance, in the first week or the first 2 weeks of opening, you're very much, let's say yes to everything. Don't turn the customers away. We don't want to piss them off, and it's all a bit frantic and hectic. But what we then did after a night, well, we got stung. We had a load of walk-ins. We got loads of click and collects, loads of deliveries. Yeah, and for your servers and for your fryers, they kind of don't know whether they're coming or going. Mm-hmm. So we decided on that evening. The next day we came, sort of, as you do, you lie in bed having a chat about the, rundown of the evening, sleep on it, wake up and think, right, actually, we're sticking to our guns. It's a click and collect and delivery store only. Yes, on a Sunday night when we're ticking along nicely, we're not going to turn you away and say, no, we're not serving you. But if during a busy period they come in, I'm really sorry, sir, there's a half an hour wait. Or if you like to use the app, you might be able to get it quicker because then you're in the system. And it's about educating your customers and not being afraid to educate them and not being afraid to say no. I think at least 3 of those customers have come back after using the app.
Yeah.
We spent a lot of time in the first 2 weeks. I was at the front and I would, people had loads of problems with the app. I'm not going to sit here and say it was plain sailing because it wasn't. But it's technology, it's new, it's different, it's innovative, I would like to think. And it's about the fact that I was stood out there and said, look, have you got your phone on you? Get your phone out, download the app. This is how you do it. Yeah, you're like, oh, okay. So I can't help you, sir. But it's about educating, and it's about doing it in a friendly way, so they feel like they're getting that same customer service, just slightly different. But we've also had loads and loads of great feedback. Mums, parents, elderly people. I had a 95-year-old woman. Yes, she placed her order on the wrong day and came in the next day for it. However, she used the app and she knew what she was doing, and she kicked herself. And she said next time she'll look and check that she's ordering it for the right day. And it's about being on top of the problems as soon as they arrive, because then that way people feel, oh, okay, well, they do know what they're doing. It's not just someone behind a desk somewhere.
Tim took me to the electrical shop earlier. I told him, and the guy goes, "Oh, what are you doing today?" I said, "I'm doing a podcast." He goes, "All right." And obviously, I didn't have the cables. And he says, "Oh, what's it about?" And I said, "Oh, hospitality, fish and chips, etc." And he said something like, I can't remember if he said it or I said it. And he goes, "It better be with Crispies." And I said, "Oh yeah, it is." And he goes, "That's my favourite." He goes, "The new one especially, because we're just down the road." And he knows Rob, so I'm not making it up completely. May have embellished it a little bit. No, I don't think I have. But no, you could tell, and he was talking about the app, and he goes, "I just order it," and it gets. Does it collect or does it get delivered? I can't remember which one. Maybe collect. I don't know. Do you do deliveries there then?
Yeah.
Oh, you do. So maybe I don't know. It could be either. But it was just you could tell, that it's resonated with people, and it would just take time. And it's a bold move. I think that. When I first read it, because we didn't really talk about it as much, this one, and I was like, oh. And again, I always expect a surprise from you anyway, Kelly, to be honest. So,
to be fair, I still feel like that now. Oh.
Yeah, but again, if you don't try, you can't say you didn't try. And I think that, it's probably a little bit extreme for some people, but, I think it's worth trying,
Absolutely. I mean, it was... We always said if it worked, it was my idea. If it didn't, it was Tim's.
We know that. You didn't have to tell anybody. We know this.
But this shop that came up, it was just too good to miss. That it was the rent was reasonable.
Decent, yeah.
And all. It just ticked a lot of boxes. It was already a fish and chip shop. We didn't need planning permission, and yes, we had to go in and rip it out because it wasn't up to the standard that we wanted.
That would have been the same anywhere, though.
Yeah, I think so. I think but we were very, very conscious that it had to be it had to run exactly the same as Crispies does, and it does. All the procedures are in place. We cook the same. We make the chips at Exeter Road. They get transported up daily. If the stock's not used, it goes back to Exeter Road to be used, because that it will get used that if not that night, the next morning. So we've had to think on our feet a lot. The first week we were transporting everything from Exeter Road, which was ridiculous when we can, two of the suppliers delivered direct to Pines, which is the new shop. But yeah, we've had to think on our feet. We had lots of people, you included, said to us, "Have you had a dry run?" Nah, just see what happens. And we did.
We're having a wet run.
We jumped in both feet. Because I think if you test drive a delivery or you test drive a click and collect, you're going to do it perfectly, because you know what's coming. We switched the app on. We had quite a few teething problems. Day 1 was great. Day 2 was amazing. Day 3 was bloody awful. Hated every second, and we said to each other, "What have we done?"
So was it just happened to be Wednesday, Thursday, Friday?
Yeah, of course.
Friday
was there a temptation to say, right, let's just switch it all off, go to a takeaway? Was there a temptation there?
Because we'd never wanted another takeaway, because it's only a mile and a half away from our other shop.
Yeah, so it doesn't really make sense.
I think the town could cope with another takeaway, but
as long as it's yours.
Yeah, but
just to clarify,
it was if you open another takeaway, 20% of people that drive all the way down into town to come to our other shop would just go to the new shop. I live up near the new shop. I would go to that shop. I wouldn't bother going to the other shop. So it was never about that. It was about, we were discussing about whether we should do click and collect and deliveries, and then how we were going to do that. And our original idea was that we were going to get rid of our wet room and cut our chips off-site, and put another range out in where our wet room was, and create another kitchen that was solely for the click and collects and deliveries. Then when you're actually looking to find a industrial unit somewhere that we could sort of white clad and turn into a wet room. It actually works out cheaper to get this shop.
Yeah.
The rent was cheaper. The rent was less, a lot less. So it was like, well, why don't we just do another shop that just for that?
Well, I think Kremko would be very happy with your decision. I think they were happy that they sold you one of the most expensive ranges in the country before, and then they got to sell you a second one as well. So happy days.
The second one was just an average.
Well, still, like it's still 2 bites at the cherry. Like,
I just think that I see it as the key to going to Exeter. We've always wanted a shop in Exeter. It's half an hour away. It's achievable.
I think I know people that my friends are from Exeter that want you to open in Exeter. Aren't they? Yeah.
And I think that our brand, well, I know from what, we get a lot of feedback from customers, a lot of social media feeds, and Exeter's huge. I think the population is something like 140,000.
Is that like the big brother to Exmouth, would you say? Like,
I think so.
It's a city, so it's a university city as well. So there's a lot of students,
and it's hugely up and coming. A lot of new student accommodation, and not masses of good quality food, I don't think. And I definitely think there's a market there for a good fish and chip shop.
Well, if anybody from Exeter is listening and want to sell up, they should give you a call, shouldn't they?
Definitely.
So you've done a few talks since the presentation. One in Wales. Is it called the NFFF Welsh meeting? Is that what it's called? Yep. So that was that. Yep. And then Isle of Ely, and then next week Kelly's doing one all on her own because apparently we don't fit in this mould. Yes. So
women in fish and chips.
Women in fish and chips, which sounds very sexually derogatory, if you want my opinion.
No one asked your opinion, so.
Sounds like my wife. Sounds like Miria now. Tim reminded me not to introduce it to my wife. So like, how do you find these talks? Like, what are people's like biggest question when they get you to one side? Like, what do you think? Like,
how's your year been?
Yeah.
It's really odd because probably going back to winning first, that when you go to these events, you remember that you've won because being treated like royalty is a bit cheesy, but everyone knows you, and when you're at home, and like you said earlier, everything goes back to normal. You've still got to put tea on the table. You still got to empty the bins. Tim.
Does she do any of those things too?
So
talk about someone else's wife.
People always ask you a lot of how's your year been? Have you found it? Have you been busy? What has it been stressful? Have you been asked to do loads of things? And we haven't necessarily been asked to do loads of things, but we get asked. I think they're the most common questions we get asked.
I thought we were talking about women in fish and chips.
Yeah, you did say going back to women in business for a minute.
Oh, sorry.
So anyway,
this is what happens with women in fish and chips.
Yeah, they get sidetracked. They get sidetracked.
Sorry.
What chips need cutting?
I think I said go back to winning, actually.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about your talk next week. Just a little bit. I promise not to mock anything. I swear.
I was asked to do by JJ Food Service.
Mm-hmm.
They are hosting a Women in Fish and Chips event in Birmingham, and they have asked me to be a keynote speaker. And I jumped at the chance because I like talking about my business. I like letting other people know, and if anyone can go away with a little bit of inspiration to make, to give them a bit of drive in their belly, like I've done from previous industry events, whether it be male or female people that have been speaking, it gives me that drive to move forward, and I'd like to think that people might get that from me.
So do you think that it's a male-dominated industry?
Oh, that's a very tricky question. Yeah, I still do.
Sorry, there's two.
I don't, because I think this industry's full of couples that run fish and chip shops.
Yeah, that is
and
true.
if you think 90% that's a really good guess, by the way, calculated guess, of women are servers as well. So I'm just thinking, like, I think my issue with this, Tim, and Tim rang me last night, as you know, because we was on speaker screaming at us both, is that it's a great event, there's no doubt, providing that it's not just a gimmicky event, which I don't think it is, because you don't do these events for gimmicks, so it's an expensive event. I just feel that if all of the women that are going attended all normal events, it'd be the same thing, and then nobody would feel left out.
Yeah, I mean, I think the days of men stood around in smoking jackets and cigars.
Yeah, that's gone, isn't it?
It's gone, surely.
Andrew Crook, when I did the podcast, there was some photos on the wall. And it was like, maybe it was on their website afterwards. They've got a page on the website now. We can get photos, and it was just these like 40 old men standing around wearing these black jackets and their mustaches, and and you just think like that's just not it.
No,
like,
I do think that's what it used to be like.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
I think. However, I do still maybe women feel like that. Maybe it's just the way maybe that stigma has never left. It might not be the way it is, but maybe that stigma's just never gone away.
I just think that we can't make things more inclusive if they're made more divisive.
That's very true.
Put that on a t-shirt, Tim. Yeah. No, but I hope, anyway, joking aside, I hope you have a really nice time next week. Because I think it's important, and if it gives everyone the encouragement to have more mixed events, then even better. Because, wouldn't it be great to have an event for people in fish and chips?
Yeah, I mean, they might, I think women are, clearly women are very different to men. We bounce off each other in a different way. And if you go back and if you take whatever you learn back to your business and it benefits both of you, then
I've got a question. I'm just looking at Tim's face, and I don't know why I've got this question.
I'm just biting my tongue.
No, I know. But one question before we go on there, and I swear I don't mean to be facetious because I'm not. But what would happen if we did an event for men in fish and chips?
I think you would have a lot of support from your wives.
Somehow, I just see Kelly really trying not to say how wrong that is. But could you imagine the outrage, though? There is outrage. Like, if I said it was me, Tim, Des, Fred, just loads of, men, and we're going to talk about
I'd be like, where's my invite?
Straight away, be like, that's a bit unfair.
That's a very good impression.
So, I think that is the opposite side of the coin, isn't it? That, later on, is that what we're going to have? Are we going to have, for example, I don't know, Greek people in fish and chips, Indian people in fish and chips, white people in fish and chips, African people in fish it creates divisions instead of... Yeah, that's my thought. Totally it's just my theory. But hope you have a great event, and, you can, if it's as bad as what we think it is, you can sort it out, and if it's as good as what you think it is, then it'll be a great event, no doubt.
Thank you.
That's really good of me, isn't it, Tim, I think? I've been really good there. So, I heard a little rumour on the grapevine that you're writing a book. I don't know if it's both of you or one of you, or whether it's just Kelly.
It's both of us.
Yeah, it's Kelly ghostwriting.
No, it is both of us.
So tell us a little bit about it, just a little bit. I know we're no way near ready. So what is it about, other than fish and chips?
I think. Sorry, I was going to say something then. I think that Tim and I have never really believed. I think in our younger days we struggled to believe that what we were doing well, and it took us to find someone to really make us understand that actually what we've created is huge. We've taken a business from doing 100 grand a year and times 10 now, and it's amazing to be able to do that. And when you're in it, you don't see it. So you just kind of head down, frying fish and chips, entering awards, plodding along, pushing and pushing and pushing. And I think there's a lot of people out there that probably coming back to previous podcasts, and you'd sort of said that people had found us an inspiration because they didn't believe that they could do it. We want to kind of give somebody a starting point. And so it's a business book. It's not a book about fish and chips.
Okay.
Although the focus, obviously,
that's your business,
is our examples, our fish and chips. But if you've got a sausage cart on the street that, you want to sell hot dogs, or if you've got a burger bar but you don't quite know how to start and where to get your produce from, and it's almost a how-to.
Like advice, isn't it?
Yeah, it's an advice book from our point of view, how we've grown, our business into, it is called £1 Million Takeaway.
Nice. Oh, that's good. I think you guys underestimate how much people do look up to you, and I think that
No, I notice that all the time because I'm always looking down on them.
Of course.
That's what happens when you're 6 foot 7.
From a physical point of view. No, because I know, like many people after the last podcast that we did, like I got a lot of people in our industry saying, "Oh, what nice people! I had no idea they started like that. Oh, I thought they were rich." And I think because these perceptions, again, it's perceptions because we don't know a lot about each other. We all think we do, but we don't. And I might read one article which is 400 words long, and I think I know everything about Tim and Kelly, but we don't. But whereas when they heard you on that podcast and they heard that trajectory. The tough times with the good times and the expansion. I think people really, I don't know, they warmed to you a little bit.
Yeah.
Not like they didn't before, but it's just more so. Yeah, more so. So, well done on that, guys. So, Exmouth Chamber Awards. I saw that you won this award, and obviously it's not a peer award like the other one. This is more sort of like local people. Like, is it just as important to you guys winning something that's local that isn't sort of, judged by your peers?
I think it's more heartfelt, isn't it? Because we didn't. We entered the award for a different category, and then we won the customer service award, which wasn't the category we entered. And the customer service award is 100% voted for by your customers. So we weren't even handing out in the shop saying we've entered this award. Can you please vote for us? We just weren't doing it. So to find out that we had been nominated, let alone then went on to win it, was very touching. And an insight of what our customers think of us.
It was lovely, wasn't it? It's a community. Exmouth Chamber is made up of lots of local businesses, and it's in conjunction with the local newspaper as well. We got over 1,000 votes locally, and to do that when you're not even expecting it, it was great. It was really, really lovely. And the staff really relished that, I think. Taking that award back for customer service, they didn't really care that we hadn't won the other one that we'd entered for. We walked away with that, and it was really lovely.
So if we look back at, again, jumping back over to the Seafish Awards, two sort of questions. Looking back on it, is it everything you thought it would be? So remember your perceptions that you had before? Are they the same as reality? It's fine. Go on. Don't you want to answer it?
Don't know.
Yeah, I do want to answer it. I think when we, it's been what I expected in terms of trade.
Yeah. So what people told you in the busy, let's say. Yeah,
people said to me, and Tim, have enough oil, have enough fish, and have enough batter. And so we literally, Darren got in his car at 4:00, and he was on the phone to reps saying, let's get, and it's a good job he did because we needed to be prepared. So that was a very good bit of information. People don't underestimate what will happen the day after you win because it will hit, on the weekend, it's a Thursday, you go back on the Friday, and then that initial Saturday morning for us was just, that was 8 weeks and it didn't stop. You didn't take your foot off the brake at all. It was just... you didn't put your foot on the brake, off the gas, even wrong one. It was just continuous.
Women drivers.
But is it everything I thought it would be? I think, yeah. I mean, I've enjoyed personally for me, I've enjoyed every second of it. Customers travelling, miles away and coming in and being able to tell your story is extremely, it's heartwarming for me. I love that side of the business anyway. But from a... Oh, go on.
I was going to say if there's anything Tim wanted to add, but you carry on.
I was just going to say from a sort of Seafish point of view, probably not had as much as I would have expected. We've had, things thrown our way, but we've also done a lot ourselves to make sure that our winning year is exactly what we wanted it to be.
So essentially, for anyone that wins, it's don't just sit there waiting for Seafish. It's just go out there and do your own thing. Or do what you've always been doing. If you get something from Seafish, it's a bonus, but do what you do, though. Yeah.
But I suppose when you from talking to people, you always presumed, because you're never told whether it is or not, but you always presumed
Seafish did
it was all... You were going to be asked to do event after event after event, and you presumed all that came from Seafish. But no, you have to go out there and find it yourself.
Yeah.
And use. So you've won this award, and the reason you've won this award is because they are looking for an ambassador of fish and chips. That is, at that stage, that is what Seafish are looking for. So I guess that ambassador role means that you've got to continue doing what you're doing and making sure that you're going, like you've just said, going out and looking for it.
I think that's another perception, though, isn't it? Because nowhere does it say that you're going to be an ambassador. I think that's a perception that's been.
You presume that's what the judges are looking for.
Yeah,
maybe.
but I don't think they are. I don't think it says anywhere. From what I've heard over the years, this is what they're expecting.
Well, you got room for the 12 people. Judge 1 might be looking for that, but who's saying Judge 12?
Yeah. What I'm saying is they're not briefed by Seafish to say make sure they're a good ambassador. Because I don't think that even comes up anywhere. I think maybe that's the pressure that everyone puts on themselves, and I don't blame them either, because you do want to carry the candle and the light or whatever.
And maybe people don't even say it. It's just from looking at what
others have
last year did and the year before, and you always, every year, you presume that we, as an industry, we need to get better.
Drive forward.
So you're always wanting to outdo, or not outdo, but try and do as much, or at least as much as what the people before did.
So would you say that it's met your expectations, the whole process?
I think so. Yeah. It's been. Yeah, in terms of trade, it was above our expectations. In terms of what it's done for our business, I think it's been above what we expected. I think, the shop is always a whirlwind anyway. So it's we cope with the drama of winning quite well.
And the pressures.
The pressures.
That's normal to us.
Our staff haven't, but we have.
So aside from the book, what's next for Crispies?
I think that we will, you kind of become a bit repetitive, but continue doing what we're doing, making sure that 2020 is just as successful as 2019. We're about to sit down in the next month and do another strategy day, because that's what we do every year or every other year. We kind of, we need a plan. We've won. It's nearly over. We've ridden along. We've done lots of different things throughout the year, and we haven't, as of yet, we haven't actually written down on paper what we're doing for the next 12 months, 15, 18 months. So I think that's the next stage, because otherwise you just continue along. You've got to have a plan in place of where you're going, so you've got something to work towards.
I think we need to get, for us personally, both our shops need to be at a position where we were with the one, that we could step in and out whenever we chose. Kelly's already said that we want to, we would like to go to Exeter. I also still love doing the training, and I want to do more of that, and I would like to do more. I'd love to get involved in the awards and help out with some judging.
We've got plans for like the click and collect store. So at the moment it's in very early days, and it is just click and collect. I want to have beacon points down the seafront during the summer. So on those really hot sunny days when no one wants to leave the beach, in my opinion, in Exmouth there isn't any. There's Rockfish down the seafront, but it's more of a restaurant and not a takeaway. So there's nowhere decent to get British fish and chips, on the beach without getting in your car and driving to us or to another fish and chip shop. So I would like to create 5 beacon points. So we've got lots of plans in that, so that people can come off the beach, grab their fish and chips, order on the app, grab the fish and chips, and then sit on the beach with their family and eat fish and chips. So there's ways to develop that business over the next 12 months, I think.
Definitely. So what advice would you give to any entrant, or by next week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever it is, a winner? So entrant first.
To an entrance, make sure that you've got everything ready. It shouldn't be, you shouldn't have filled in the application form and think, right, I need to get all my paperwork in order. That it should be the other way around.
Yeah.
And be yourselves. Don't try and be something you're not. Don't put on a show for the award season. You need, in my view, it's very noticeable that social media and all these sort of things start at the award seasons. You should be doing that all the time. If you're not, then maybe you should question whether you're ready. But we entered the awards, and we learnt all this because we were entering the awards. We learnt that we needed to be ready before we entered, after about the third year of entering. Well, I said before, the first time we entered, it was just, let's fill the application form and see how far we get. And that is fine. We got top 60. I think people should do it. The awards are great for your business, great for making you busier because of the PR. You use the PR right, but also great for making your business better because it is just an appraisal on your business.
I would say don't to any entrant, if you're not successful and you don't get to the stage where you think you deserve to get, don't be disheartened by it. We both had days when we didn't get past the top 20 where I was devastated. But, the next day you're like, right, okay, what are we going to do to make ourselves better? And, pardon the pun, but just keep chipping away at it.
I'm quite, I feel it's a bit disappointing that we can't enter again this year. I enjoy the award process.
This is something we were talking about in the car, isn't it?
Yeah. As much as I don't want to sound like I'm ungrateful for winning, but it would have been nice to have had a couple of years getting to top 10 and go through that process.
Tim was saying, I think the analogy I gave, it was a bit more like the Premier League, where if you're the top, you carry on being the top.
Yeah.
And I think that is interesting because we've not seen someone do it twice, have we? And I know Mark Petru mentioned once that he got into the top 10, but he just said it casually, they'd never let me win. But that wasn't really an answer. There was no proof there. It was anecdotal, but maybe he knows more than what I do. But
I think you get the feeling that
feeling.
It's a thing that is it shared around. Because if you're the best in the country, you should be the best in the country for as long as you win.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see someone either... Is it retaining the title? Yeah. So making it more competitive in a way that maybe there's a ranking. I don't know. It sounds interesting though. I think there's something there though. But I think I'd never want to alienate anybody from entering. So maybe there's a way that they can soften it just to make people re-enter again, even if it's after year 2 or year 3, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe not directly year 1, year 2. But maybe if they'd say, oh, you know what, you're more than welcome to enter in year 3. But again, I've not seen it anywhere. I've not seen in any of the rules that you're not allowed to. But
they only say you can't enter the year after.
Oh, do they?
You can't enter. So we can't enter this year.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
But there is nothing stopping you entering again. But it's just the perception of. You don't think anybody would be given it twice. I wonder.
Again, another perception is that it looked greedy, it looked wrong, but it's not. I don't know. I don't think it is.
It's a little bit. It depends. Yeah. Is it? Let's share it out and have as much. I don't know how controversial this is going to be. I'm not very good at being controversial. Or is it the independent UK number 1 chip shop of the year competition? And if it's that, then if you're the best, you should win it. Yeah. Whether you've won it twice or once or what.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
No, it's an interesting point. I think that there's something about it being finalised that I'm happy to explore both options. I've got no, like I said earlier, I've got no dog in the race. So I'm happy to look at both. But the fact is that, if you imagine boxing, you don't become a title holder and walk off and be like, catch you later and never see you again.
Yeah.
And then, this guy won 14 years ago. Well done to him. Well, if you did manage for 7 years in a row, well done to you too.
Absolutely.
I like both.
And maybe that would bring more prestige to the award as well. If there was a fish and chip shop that had ranked 7 years in a row as number 1.
I think it'd be nice to see something being done with everybody else that's not first.
Yes.
I think so they know where they came maybe as well.
I do think that the way that they do it, maybe it markets fish and chip the brand better. Maybe it does the industry itself more justice doing it the way this is done.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it makes it very individual. And it should be about the brand.
I'd like to see anything that makes it more interesting. Not that it's boring, just more interesting, and anything that makes it relevant to today, or anything that gets more people to enter. Yeah. Anything that does that, I like the idea of thinking about it because I just think that. Why not?
I think some people find, talking to people this year since we've won, there are people out there that might not be like we are, who have a marketing company. They might, be completely independent on their own. And they find it, extremely daunting to write 100 words in an application form because that's not their forte. They don't know how to put into words, and that doesn't necessarily make them bad operators.
No, not at all.
Maybe it just needs, maybe a different process is a good thing. But, who knows? It's not that it's bad, but it's always good to, try something different, isn't it?
Guys, is there anything else you want to talk about? Anything I've missed?
I would just like to say, obviously, you talked about, is there any advice for any of the winners?
Oh, yes, we didn't get on to winners, did we? We just spoke.
I would say enjoy it. Enjoy every second of it. It goes, you say, your kids grow up quicker than you can imagine, and, your year passes quicker than you... It literally, a blink of an eye and it's gone.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed every second of it. It's been loads of fun, good and bad. All the bad bits of it and all the good bits of it. It's just been loads of fun, and congratulations to whoever's picked up that trophy.
Tim, anything?
I think the same as what Kelly. I think enjoy it. Get ready to work hard. Just make sure you're ready.
Harder.
Harder, a lot harder, especially for the first few months. It doesn't disappear, but it does. You get a bit more settled.
Yeah.
After a couple of months.
Well, I hope that we'll probably put some of those perceptions to rest, and I think that maybe those winners that go into it were probably expecting some of the things that you did, and now hopefully they understand it a little bit more. And I'd like to say good luck to whoever wins on the 23rd. It's 23rd, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is.
Just before I get it wrong. And then, I'm sure they will do a fantastic job, just like you guys did. And I want to thank you all because you have done a great job. I've said this to you before. I'm not saying it to suck up. I genuinely mean it. I think that you have done a great job. And
I think we've just been us.
Yeah, well, you've done a great job. Top marks for being you. Like, seriously, if you couldn't win at that, mate, something is wrong. So we'll leave it there and let's get packed up because your kitchen is a mess because of me. There's wires everywhere. So thank you very much, Tim. Thank you very much, Kelly.
Cheers, thank you.
Thank you very much.